Dear students, in this class, we are going to discuss about the second type of animal tissues, which is known as the connective tissue. So, first of all, let us introduce what is the connective tissue. Let us have the introduction. Connective tissue is a tissue that is joining, supporting, and holding other tissues. So, that is how the word connective. So, it is actually joining, supporting, and holding other tissues together. And this connective tissue is actually forming the structural framework for many organs, and also it plays an important role in the defense mechanism of the body, and they also help in tissue repair, fat storage, and also in the transmission of materials to the other tissues. Okay, then coming to the third point, we can say this connective tissue will sometimes secrete structural protein fibers, which are called collagen, which are known as collagen and elastin. Okay, and there are major three components which are involved in the connective tissue. These three major components are divided into cells, fibers, and matrix. Okay, so this is how the introduction of the connective tissue goes. Now let us move on to how the connective tissues are getting classified. Okay, so now let's see how the connective tissues are getting classified. We can see that the first classification is of three types, that is loose connective tissue. Then second one is, first one is loose connective tissue, then dense connective tissue, and specialized connective tissue. Now, under the loose connective tissue, we have two divisions again, which is areolar connective tissue and adipose connective tissue. Okay, and under dense connective tissue, we have two classifications. One is regular dense connective tissue, and the next one is irregular dense connective tissue. Now, this regular dense connective tissue is again divided into two categories, that is tendon and ligament. Okay, and the last one, that is specialized connective tissue, is having three divisions, which is the cartilage, bone, and the blood. So this is how the division of the connective tissue goes, and now we will deal in detail with one by one. Okay, so now let us see the first division of the connective tissue, that is the loose connective tissue. As I told you, this loose connective tissue has got cells and fibers which are loosely arranged. That is how they got the name loose connective tissue. Now, they're having a matrix. Matrix means a ground substance on which these cells and fibers are present. Now, the matrix of this loose connective tissue is in a semi-fluid state. It is neither too soft, neither too hard, but is in a semi-fluid state. And the two types that we discussed are areolar loose connective tissue and adipose loose connective tissue. First of all, let us see about areolar connective tissue. This connective tissue have got cells, fibers, and a matrix. Now, this connective tissue is usually found below the skin. Okay, and they produces mainly two types of structural proteins, as we discussed earlier. It is collagen and elastin, and they are mainly, the function of this areolar connective tissue is to form as a support framework for the epithelium. Epithelium, you know, the cells which are covering the outer part of the body. So just below that, they are forming a structural or a support framework for the epithelium. So that is how the areolar connective tissue functions. Now coming to the second connective tissue, that is loose connective tissue, which is known as the adipose. It is also found below the skin, and mainly these cells, the cells of the adipose connective tissue, stores fat. Okay, and whatever nutrients we are taking, the excess of nutrients will be converted into fats, and it will be stored under the skin in the form of this adipose connective tissue. Okay, so under the skin you can see this adipose connective tissue mainly storing fat. Okay, so these are the functions of the two types of loose connective tissue, that is areolar connective tissue and adipose connective tissue. And now we will move on to the next one, which is known as the dense connective tissue. Okay students, so now let us discuss about the next type of connective tissue, which is known as the dense connective tissue. Here, It is called dense connective tissue because a matrix is very dense. It is thickly packed. Okay. The cells and fibers are arranged densely in the matrix without any intercellular spaces. And these dense connective tissue has divided into two types. They are regular dense connective tissue and irregular dense connective tissue. Coming to the regular connective tissue, here it is called regular because the cells and fibers of this connective tissue have a regular orientation or regular arrangement. Okay, and it is divided into two categories, tendon and ligament. Tendon is having only collagen fibers. Okay, tendon is a particular type of regular connective tissue having only collagen. Collagen is a protein. So it is having only a collagen fiber, whereas ligament is having both collagen and elastin fibers. And another difference is tendon connects muscle to a bone, whereas ligament is connecting a bone and a bone. A bone is connected to a bone using the ligament. Okay. So these are the important points coming under regular dense connective tissue. Next, coming to the irregular dense connective tissue, the term itself shows the cells and fibers are irregularly arranged in the matrix. That is why it is called irregular dense connective tissue. And here, this tissue is mainly seen in the skin region. Okay, so that is all about irregular dense connective tissue. So, this is the important points coming under the dense connective tissue. Okay. Okay, so in this connective tissue that is called specialized connective tissue, we are going to discuss about the three types of specialized connective tissue. So specialized connective tissue means these are those tissues which are specialized to perform different functions. Okay, and it is mainly of three types. They are cartilage, bone and blood. Let us see one by one in detail. Coming to cartilage, cartilage is having a semi-rigid matrix. It is neither too hard but it is neither too soft. It is having a semi-rigid matrix, and this matrix is having a semi-solid protein which is known as chondrin. Okay, so this protein is what makes the cartilage in a semi-rigid structure, and you can see the cartilage is mostly present in nose, ear and in certain parts of limbs of adults, etc. Okay, now coming to the bone is having a very solid matrix, and this solid matrix is having calcium as well as collagen fibers. The deposition of calcium is what makes the bone very hard and stiff. Now the bone cells are what is known as osteocytes. Okay, coming to the last division of the specialized connective tissue, which is known as the blood. The blood is having a fluid matrix. That is why it is in a liquid state. And the matrix has plasma. Plasma is forming the matrix with blood cells. And you know there are three types of blood cells: RBC, WBC and platelets. Apart from that, the blood also has blood proteins, etc. The function of the blood is mainly oxygen carrying, then fighting infectious agents, then clotting of blood. I mean clotting, it helps in clotting with the help of that, but you can say platelets. And the last function is transport of substances from one part of the body to the other. So these are the three important divisions coming under specialized connective tissue. So with that, and one more thing, coming to this bone, the function of the bone is it is supporting and protecting other soft tissues and organs. Now they are forming the structural framework of the body, and almost the important internal organs like heart, lungs, brain, etc. are enclosed in bony structures, and they are protected well in the body. So these are the functions of the bone in our body. So with that, we have come to the end of the second type of connective tissue in animals, which is known as connective tissue. The second type of tissue in animals, which is the connective tissue. Okay, I hope this is clear to you.